Namaste, this is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today's the 9th of March 2013. The following is the Vedic Astrology reading for Hugo Chavez, based on the 28th of July, 1954 at 4 a.m. in Sabaneta, Venezuela. Now, he was the president of Venezuela from the 2nd of February 1999 until he died on March 5th, 2013. His parents were working lower middle class school teachers. He was the second of 7 children. He did marry twice. His first marriage was for 18 years. He had 3 children with his first wife, 2 girls and a boy. And his son suffers from some sort of behavioral disorders. The couple did separate after his 1992 coup attempt, and during his first marriage he had an affair, and that relationship lasted for 9 years. So his mistress became a critic of him, and then his second wife was a journalist, and he did divorce her in 2000. He had another daughter with that marriage. He was a Catholic, and he intended at one time to become a priest. Now we see that in the first house, Gemini, the third sign of the zodiac, is in the first house. This is always the first house, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11, 12 houses of life. Gemini in the first, Cancer in the second, Leo in the third, Virgo in the fourth, Libra in the fifth, Scorpio in the sixth, Sagittarius in the 7th, Capricorn in the 8th, Aquarius in the 9th, Pisces in the 10th, Aries in the 11th, and Taurus in the 12th house. Now in the first house, his rising sign is 13 degrees. He's got Jupiter at 21 degrees, K2, the southern node of the moon, at 21 degrees, Moon at 21 degrees, and Mercury at 21 degrees. He's got Sun in the second house at 11 degrees in Cancer, Venus at 23 degrees in Leo, Saturn at 9 degrees in Libra, Mars at 2 degrees in Sagittarius, Rahu, the northern node of the moon, also in Sagittarius at 21 degrees. Because he's Gemini rising sign, this is the third sign of the zodiac. This is an air sign ruled by Mercury and symbolized as the twins, male, female, wholeness, 2 in 1. But sometimes Geminis can have a very favorable twin, and sometimes they can have not such a favorable twin. When dealing with Gemini persons, you always want to know which twin you are dealing with. And if the negative twin is there, then you just don't get involved in that particular day. Let the positive twin resurface. Now Jupiter in the first house brings the 7th house relationships to him. And 7th house is marriage, relationships, partnerships, joint ventures, and foreign affairs. K2 in the first house gives some level of spirituality and detachment. I think in his younger years he was very spiritual. Moon in the first house brings the 2nd house of wealth and status to him, and it brings public favor to him. And Mercury in the first house gives him a good ability to communicate, makes him a messenger, and it also, because it rules the 4th house, brings close connection with parents and family life and property. Now Sun rules the 3rd house of independence and self-efforts, and it's in the 2nd house of wealth and status. So Sun is a royal planet in the sign of Cancer, a royal sign. So this gives him royal status in life. Sun is the king, is president, leader. Sun in Cancer makes him very tender-hearted and family-oriented and creative and intuitive. Venus in the house of self-expression is also quite good, and it does connect higher education with his independence. There's a connection with women, there's a connection with affluence, and even the fine arts, performing arts, and healing arts, and he was a big advocate for national health care. Saturn rules this 9th house of divine grace, good luck, and good fortune, and is placed in the house of children. It's placed in the house of mind. It gives him a very conservative mind. And of course Saturn is oil, gas, and minerals, and it's in the house of investments. Saturn is in Libra. This is very good. This is an exalted Saturn. So we like this in this 5th house. Now we come over here, and that can give children from different wives as well, because Saturn in the house of children can be stepchild, adopted child, or child from a different wife. Mars rules this 11th house of income, and it's in the house of partnerships, relationships, marriage, and foreign lands, foreign affairs. And Mars in the house of partnerships is a very military influence, so he can have military joint ventures and partnerships, which he did in many countries. And then Rahu, the northern node of the moon, is sitting here, makes him highly ambitious with foreign affairs, foreign lands. Now, the 6th house, the 8th house, and 12th house are called Dustan Bhavas. And these are inauspicious houses, and you see that he has no planets in the inauspicious houses, and that's quite helpful for his success. Where the problems come up in his chart is that Ketu at 21 degrees and Rahu at 21 degrees both have an influence on Jupiter, ruling the house of relationships and foreign lands. So it gives highs and lows of foreign lands. They also have a serious affliction on Moon, ruling his wealth and status, and on Mercury, ruling happiness and property and his intellect. Whenever Moon and Mercury are afflicted by Rahu and Ketu, the person can have some serious disturbance with their peace of mind and their analytical problem-solving capability and how they comprehend and understand and emotionally connect. And Rahu and Ketu influence on Jupiter causes highs and lows with spirituality. So Ketu makes him very, very spiritual. Rahu says he will operate outside the norm of morality and do things his own way. These are a real serious affliction here. And they do cause health issues with the liver, gallbladder, and hips, with the chest, lungs, fluids in the body, and with the respiratory canal. So these are not good here. And this Rahu aspects 5 houses away, 7 houses away, 9 houses away. Look at this Rahu at 21 degrees afflicting this Venus. So that's not good. It gives desires for women, but it also causes some eclipse of women. So he had 2 divorces and a loss of a mistress. Now, in terms of timing of events, he had his coup, which he lost in the Mercury main period and the Venus sub-period. So Mercury made him a messenger, but Mercury is eclipsed by Rahu and Ketu, high and low, high and low, high and low. And the Venus sub-period was afflicted by this Rahu, so it caused an eclipse of the coup. It didn't work. He ended up going to prison. But he did get elected during Rahu. Rahu can give charisma, fame, fortune, energy, and ambition like nobody's business. And it's in Jupiter's sign of Sagittarius, which is in the 1st house, so it brings relationships to him. And then the current situation where he passed away recently, it was during double Venus. So is Venus favorable for the chart? Yes. But is it weak? Yes, it's very weak because it's afflicted by this Rahu. Also, here's a very interesting concept here. Mars is in Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter, which is afflicted by Rahu and Ketu. So Mars becomes weak. Now Saturn is in Libra ruled by Venus. Venus is in Leo ruled by the Sun. Sun is in Cancer ruled by the Moon. And Moon is in the 1st house afflicted by Rahu and Ketu. So the buck stops here. Moon is the final dispositor for Saturn, Venus, and Sun and itself. So all 4 planets get afflicted by the Rahu-Ketu influence. And this can cause serious health issues and reduces the longevity of life.